Welcome, everybody. Welcome back, or if this is your first time, welcome here to Live from NCCE. Hey! I'm Holly Holland. I'm going to be here with you today, and we are joined with the amazing Victoria Thomas.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. And I know everybody else is super excited too to talk about some great pairs. You're going to be going through some great pairing with us today, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, yeah. Now, I also did my little research of other great pairs before we get into your amazing pairs. I was thinking a great pair like peanut butter and jelly, right? Yes. Mac and cheese. That's a great pair. And Tom and Jerry. And I was watching it last night, and I know you are a big Disney fan. How about Woody and Buzz? Woody and Buzz?
Yes. As y'all can tell from my background, I'm a huge Disney Parks fan. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, those are great pairs, but I'm super excited for you to share some more about the pairs that you're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, of course. So just to recap, hi, everybody. I'm Victoria Thompson. I'm a NCCE professional learning specialist, and I'm a STEM coach based in Tacoma, Washington. And I'm super excited to speak with y'all today to talk about two of my favorite things, which are Microsoft Teams and also Microsoft OneNote. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay. And I'm getting there. Here we go. So what I did was I actually created a small kind of mock teams. That way y'all can see what's going on here. So the teams that I have currently, live from NCCE is where we're going to be. And Teams has a couple of really cool things that I just want to highlight for y'all. That way you can see what's going on there. Because I've been in schools where we used Google. I've been in schools, well, my school currently actually uses Zoom. I've been in spaces where we use Google Meet or maybe even Beluga or StreamYard, like how we're using today. I really like Teams. And I fell in love with Teams about maybe like a year ago, because I was working at an international school, and most of my students, when they went home from the pandemic, they couldn't use Google Meet or they couldn't use another platform because it was actually banned or restricted in some of those areas. Microsoft Teams was the most accessible, and I just fell in love with it, and I continue to use it. So over here in Teams, you'll notice that there's a couple different spaces. I just have a general channel. So channels are where you can create different opportunities for folks to speak with each other, collaborate, ask questions, and make announcements. So you'll notice that I have an announcement right here. I actually have two, but I'm looking at the one at the bottom. Welcome to Live from NCCE. And it's just me giving a little bit of a welcome message. Over here on top, we have a Live from NCCE notebook, which is actually OneNote. So we'll be taking a look at that in just a few moments. But if I wanted to start a general conversation, I can go ahead and do that. So if I wanted to say maybe, thank you for being here today. Let's just say that. I can go ahead and start typing. But if I want to make like a larger header, I'm going to select this A with the pen, pencil over here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll say, thank you for being here today. For the actual body of the conversation, I'll say something like, I'm so excited for you all to be here. Yay, awesome. So you'll notice that right now it's selected underneath of new conversation. That's what it says. I can make it a new conversation or an announcement. Right now I have it as everyone can reply. You can also go ahead and select you and moderators can reply. And if you're working with students, you can do posting in multiple channels. So if I wanted to create multiple channels for all my classes or all of the folks that I'm working with, then I totally can. So I'll pause here for a second and say that as an instructional coach, even though we're using Zoom, I've used Teams in order to get information out. So I might have a team for 6th grade. I might have a team for 7th grade. I might have a team for 8th grade or high school or whatever, right? If I want to put this in every single team, I could go ahead and post in multiple channels and put it there, which is really nice. But I'll say thank you for being here today. Right now, I just have it as a new conversation. I'll go ahead and push it through. And it's there with a timestamp. So you'll notice I did the first one today at 1:31, and you'll notice I did this one at 4:04. You'll also notice that at the top right of the announcement, right, we've got a couple different emoticons that we can add here just to kind of express things. So I like the heart. So I'll just go ahead and heart my own. But if you wanted to add even more, what you can do is go ahead, oops, I accidentally clicked that. You can go ahead and just kind of take a look at what we have here. Also, in the three dots that are off to the right, if you're interested, you can save the message, delete it, edit it, copy the link, share to Outlook, which I think is really cool. Do Immersive Reader, which we'll talk to in a couple of moments. If you want to have a pinned message up at the top, I can go ahead and do this pin. It's for everybody that views the channel, and it's stickied is what I call it. So that way it stays, which is really, really nice. So I just kind of like this posting option because if you're an instructor or if you're a coach or if you're an admin, regardless of where you are, this gives a great way to just kind of have that streamlined communication for you and the folks that you're collaborating with. I've used a couple of other platforms, and I just think that Teams does it really well, which is why I'm a really big fan. Also, if we hop over to files, all right, so this is where you can have general documents for anything that you have for any course that you're working with during that time. So what I'd like to do is create folders for the files. That's huge for me because I'm a big organizational person. I like staying organized. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'll upload a folder, and I will call this, Disney pictures, because I probably have one or two that are directly on my computer. You'll notice the name. You'll also notice when it was modified and also who it was modified by. I can also create another one that I'll call math, because I used to be a former math educator and I love math. So you can create really as many folders as your heart's content, just based off of what you'd like to organize with. But if I were you, and if you're looking into Teams, this is a great way to stay organized and really a one-stop shop. I don't have to go through multiple different folders and really multiple different iterations of things. I can just have it all on Teams, which again is super, super helpful, especially if you like to stay organized. So I'm going to go to math, and you'll notice math is blank because I just created it. But let's go ahead and upload something, and I'll go ahead and upload a file. I'm just going to pick a random one from my desktop. So let's see. I know I've got a couple of them over here. Maybe, ooh, how about this one with my wedding? Even though that's not math related, it's pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and upload it. And you'll notice that right here, it's uploaded directly into the folder, which is pretty neat. When I select it, you'll notice that the image is going to come up. And that's me and my wife, Courtney, which is pretty cool. But you can add pictures, you can add PDFs, you can add documents, you can add lots of different things that are here when it comes to just adding documents to Teams. And again, I cannot stress enough, it's a one-stop shop. So if you have difficulty locating documents, finding documents, doing all of those types of things, I definitely would like for y'all to think about leaning into Teams, because it is very good for keeping everything into one concise space. There's more that you can do here as well. So let's say that I'd like to download something, right? I can go over here. I can open it in SharePoint, which is a feature of Office 365. I can sort my documents via different things. But at the end of the day, I just really enjoy the fact that it's here for me. And if I wanted to create something directly here into the folder, let's say that I want to create a form directly into my team. I'll name this form Live from NCCE, because we're here. And I don't believe that it's actually sharing here, so I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to pop over to this tab instead. Because when I selected Microsoft Forms, what it did was it opened up an entirely new tab where I can create a Microsoft form. And we're going to go into Forms just a little bit later on, but you can actually embed a form directly into Teams. Forms has a lot of really neat pieces And it's kind of like if you have experience with Google Forms or maybe like a survey feature, very similar. What I appreciate about Microsoft Forms are one, the choices, and two, the math features, which again, we'll talk about in just a few moments. But if I wanted to say something like, what's your favorite color? I've got like, I can add all of them. So something really neat too is that it gives you the option to have options that are already pre-selected. So I didn't have to type any of these. Pink, blue, green, black, teal, super neat. We can have it be multiple answers. We can have it be required. Forms has a lot of, again, applicable things that you can do as a coach, as an admin, as an educator, because it doesn't have to be just kind of like the fun questions like this. You can have some more questions as well. You can also go ahead and change the theme. So if I want to make it look a little something like this, I can, which is really neat. And I can also send and collect responses to different folks. So very similar to how other types of forms work, you are more than able to do that as well. And I can add it directly into my team. Now, how would I add it into my team? I'll go ahead and I'll say anyone can respond. I'll go ahead and I will copy this link. I always copy just in case because you never know what's going to happen. I will exit out of this. And I will go to go ahead and share my screen again. I'm just switching to the team, to my team. So you'll notice I'm back here. I'm back in my files where I've got the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to be generated from the form. I also have the wedding background picture that I shared. If I go to just kind of the general team, if I started a new conversation, and I do this a lot with the teachers that I work with and also with the students, I can go ahead and say maybe something like fill out this form, please, because we try to be kind. And I'll say below is the link for the Microsoft form. Oops, there we go. On your favorite color. I'll go ahead and I will add the link. And you'll notice that there's kind of like a widget, right? I kind of call it like a widget or a header that gives you the option to go ahead and fill it out from there. When I push to send, it automatically appears. And if I'm a student or an adult learner or a participant or anybody, right, a colleague, anybody, then I'm able to fill it out. And then from there, the responses will be collected in my files, in my math folder, and on this Excel spreadsheet. So there's not going to be anything there because nobody's filled it out. I haven't even filled it out. But that's a neat way just to generate things directly from Microsoft Teams that you might not normally think to generate. So we can also copy links from here. If I wanted to copy a link from any of these two, I can upload something directly from my computer to this location. I can download something. And I can also open it in SharePoint, which is just a sharing feature that we have within Office 365. And I do a lot of my sharing through SharePoint because it's, to me, very simple to share within my organization. For other things that you can add, we have folders, we have Word documents, we have Excel workbooks, we have PowerPoints and OneNotes and forms for Excel. So I actually did the forms for Excel for mine. But we are actually going to take a look at the OneNote notebook, which is one of my favorite tools. So I've already created a live from NCCE notebook in order for us to just kind of play around with. My school, even though we use, it's kind of this weird intersectionality. We have Canvas, we have Zoom, we also have OneNote. So we use 3 different tools. And if you're in the same space as I am, where you use just different isolated tools, Canvas and OneNote have recently integrated, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do is actually go to the notebook that I've created, because even though we're not in Canvas, we're in Teams. And Teams and OneNote are integrated, which is wonderful. And I use OneNote quite frequently. I really do adore OneNote. I use it for a lot of just my general note taking. That's what I use it a lot for. When I work with it with teachers and with students, they also use it for note taking, but just general organization and problem solving. And if you've used OneNote and you're just wondering what exactly that means or how that can be possible, OneNote has beautiful math tools. OneNote also has opportunities for you to just kind of go in and draw and create and be yourself. You can also upload files. You can upload pictures. So it gives you great opportunities, again, for just learning, sharing, and collaborating. So with that to be said, I made this just a little bit bigger so you could see. But right now I'm working directly within OneNote in Teams. So that's where I am right now. The home selection is where you just kind of see this blank page right now. It's got the date. It's actually got the time that I went back in and edited it. But if you go over here where it says show navigation, you'll notice that I can add sections and I can add pages. And I'd actually, like my mom loves OneNote. She uses it with her adult learners. And the way that she describes it is that the sections are the chapters of the book and that the pages are the physical pages that you turn to. Okay, and my mom's 55, so I'm like, all right, if my mom understands it, then this is awesome. So I've got two sections that I'm going to work through with y'all today. The first is going to be math, and the second is going to be word challenges. There's nothing listed right now, but that's okay, because we're going to go ahead and work through them, and it's going to be great. So let's start first with, let's do math first. So for the untitled page, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is going to be, let's say, number sentences. Because we do encounter quite a few number sentences when it comes to math and math education. As a math educator myself and as a STEM coach, it's very important for me that my students and my teachers understand just how math works with educational technology. And sometimes that can be a little bit tough. So here's what we're going to do. There's a lot of different tabs that are up on the top. Right now I'm on home. With insert, I see a couple different things here: table, file, picture, link, audio, symbol. Math is where we're initially going to be, but I do think that it's really neat in order to call out just all the other stuff that's here, because again, I don't really get this from other ed tech platforms. If I go to audio, I recently restarted my computer, so sometimes it is a little finicky with the audio, so we'll see. But if I go ahead and record, it's trying to reconnect, so we'll get there. But it will pick up my voice as I speak, as I talk, and kind of do like a voice to audio recording. So that's really neat, because if you'd like to embed something into a product or just even into an activity for students, the audio really does give that nice connection. And even if it's not perfect for us today, it is a great option for you to explore with your students or with your learners. If I go back to home, let's say I go to view, Immersive Reader is a really neat tool that we're going to take a look at. I can also do an accessibility checker to make sure that this is appropriate and accessible to all of my learners. I can draw, which is, I think, wonderful. I can also draw with math, which is, for me, a game changer. I recently switched from MacBook to Surface, and just the ability to touch the screen is great. And I can also insert things like tables and files and pictures and links and all that stuff. But I'll get rid of that audio, because what I really want to show y'all is the math. If you're a math educator, if you even work with math with students, regardless of where you are, the math tools in Microsoft are very unique and special, because almost really with the click of a button, you're able to do a lot of neat things. So let's say that I'm working with a quadratic, and I'll say we're doing x squared. We're going to try to make that x little. X squared plus 2x, we'll say plus 2. That's a very simple quadratic. Now, the math notation is a bit interesting, right? Because we have the caret, or like the point on top. What I would do is I would select my number sentence, and I would select math. And when I do that, notice the beautiful math notation that shows up. I mean, it's just great. So I don't have to really deal with that clunky math notation anymore. I've got a very beautiful quadratic that I've now created in this space. If I want to select an action, I can evaluate it, I can graph it in 2D, I can differentiate it, I can integrate it. Now, because it's a quadratic, most of it's going to be that evaluate and that graph. That's a lot of what I did. So what I'm going to do, I'll say evaluate. When I evaluate, again, x squared plus 2x plus 2. And what I'm going to do is select generate a practice quiz. So I can't really separate that at the moment. And I don't know why it's saying I'm not signed in, because I am signed in. All right, there we go, cool. So what I can do in this space is it would generate a practice quiz up to 20 questions, just about, where if you wanted to, you could go in and you could make a practice quiz for both you and your learners based off of the one question that you have right here. If you have students, and I've even done this when I was a classroom teacher, and I do this now with my learners as an instructional coach, I say create one number sentence. Let's try another one. Let's do x plus 3 equals 7. That's a one-step equation, right? If I go ahead and I say math, this turns it into my very beautiful equation. I'll go ahead and I'll say solve for x equals 4, right? That's a one-step equation. I move 3 to the other side and we're all good. I can go ahead and mathematically show the steps. I'm subtracting 3 from both sides. When I do that, I get that x equals 4. And again, I get that beautiful option of generating a practice quiz if I really wanted to. So really neat stuff that you can do within the tool, specifically for math. I can upload files, I can upload pictures, I can hyperlink things, I can add symbols, I can add emojis, I can add tables, regardless of whether or not you teach math. But I wanted to highlight the math tools because they're just so cool. It really does give you an option to connect and collaborate with students in lots of different ways. I'm also a big fan of the draw feature. So I've got my mouse that I use, but because I have a surface, I like to just kind of use my hand. If I say x plus 3 equals 7, and I go ahead, and if I want to go ahead and select my equation with the math tool, oops, where did it go? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and select my equation. And with the math button, all right, I was really close. Sometimes it gets all of it in one sweep. X plus 3 equals 7. So you'll notice right then it's got the 3. So sometimes if you write a little bigger like me, it does take a moment or two, but it's okay because it will get to that point. So this is 1 plus 3 equals 7. I'm going to go ahead and fix it. I'm going to fix this guy. It's getting there. All right, close, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just fix this and make this, again, x plus 3 equals 7. And when we do that, we can go ahead and we can fix it, we can change it, and it's all solid. So with that being said, speaking of number sentences, I think it's a good idea to kind of check out Immersive Reader with the time that we have left. And I say this because whenever I work with my folks at my school and I tell them about Immersive Reader, they get really just hyped because they've never really seen something like this before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another page, and it's going to be called Immersive Reader. Oh, let's see. It might still be on the selecting tool, so give me just a moment. It is. Sometimes that happens. Immersive Reader. All right. That's a good tip too. If you're working within OneNote, just make sure that you know exactly like what you're selecting, because sometimes that is a little tough. But if we take a look at Immersive Reader, I used to use this all the time to just kind of decode sentences. If you're a math educator, a STEM educator, or an educator period, you know that sometimes when you give folks a big block of text, half the issue is just straight up decoding what the text actually says, right? So let's say that I have a word challenge. I don't like calling them word problems because what we're doing is we're challenging ourselves. So I'll say something like Victoria has 15 pens. Courtney has 30 pens. How many pens do they have in total? Okay, so this is like a typical adding, right? We're going to be adding 15 plus 30. But if I'm a new student, if I'm an English language learner, or if I just straight up dislike word problems, it's going to be very difficult for me in order to decode it. So I use Immersive Reader a lot, not just with STEM, but also with a lot of different folks across a lot of different disciplines, because if half the battle is reading, then we need to break that down and make sure that folks can understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to View. I'm going to select View, and I'm also going to select Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader populates directly into OneNote, which again, I cannot stress enough how great it is that everything is contained within OneNote and Teams. I don't have to go to any external site. Everything is right here for me. And if you've got students that struggle organizationally, this really does seem to help. I've done this quite a few times. However, I do want to point out a couple of things for y'all. The first being that me as a glasses wearer, I do like for my text to be quite big. If you'd like for your text to be smaller, you can minimize or you can make it super big. I usually like to keep it around this mark so that way I can see without having to squint. You can decrease spacing. You can increase spacing. I like, again, for my spacing to be larger because glasses wearer. You can change fonts. You can change theme. I like the theme the way that it is. Also, if we head over here to the grammar, now this is where it gets really fun because nouns, verbs, adjective, adverbs, right? These are all things that are being spaced out and highlighted. Same with the syllables. I can also change the colors if I don't care for the ones that are selected for me. For example, if I want for my nouns to be blue, then my nouns can be blue. And you'll notice that they just changed. How about the verbs? Let's make the verbs this gold color. That's pretty cool. You know, I can go ahead and I can change however I want. I can also show labels for nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Again, for folks that are decoding or just kind of looking at analyzing sentence structures and paragraphs, this has been a game changer for many of my students and a lot of the folks that I work with as colleagues and learners. If I want something read out loud to me, I can go to voice settings. I love the difference between the turtle and the rabbit, but I usually keep it right at about this speed and I can have it read out loud.
Victoria has 15 pens. Courtney has 30 pens.
Right, so we won't go into all of it, but you can have it read out loud, which is really, really neat. Again, if part of decoding is learning, reading, and listening, then we can figure out what it's saying down the road. The reading preferences is really where it gets fun because Microsoft's learning tools are so neat. I can go ahead and do a line focus. If I wanted to, I could only show one line of text as I'm reading. So if I'm a student and if I'm a learner and if I'm just trying to figure out one thing at a time, I see this line and I say, okay, well, Victoria has 15 pens. Then I go down to this line and I say, okay, Courtney has 30 pens, right? I can continue. How many pens do they have in total? I can focus on one line at a time. And I've even worked with folks in higher ed where I'm like, okay, if you have something you have to write up, put it in Immersive Reader and do it line by line. Read it line by line, say it out loud line by line. It really gives you an opportunity to look at what you've written and maybe even make edits and make it a little bit better. OneNote and Teams is great for that. Something else you can do with the reading preferences is what I call picture dictionary. And they call it that too. With the minute that we have left, I'll show you that and then also the translator feature. So let's say pens, I can select pens and it has a picture of a pen. If you're an English language learner, that is awesome, awesome, awesome. And then for reading preferences, I'll do French because my mom is fluent in French and she loves OneNote. She's probably watching right now. But if we go ahead and if we take a look at the original versus the French, this is the original version that I had of the number sentence, and over here is the French version. And
Victoria a 15 stylos. Courtenay a 30 stylos.
so you'll notice it will actually read it out loud in French in comparison to your original one, which is wonderful, right? It gives you the option if you're working with English language learners, or even if you are just kind of doing your own professional learning, to compare the English settings to the other language that you so choose, or vice versa. So I can't speak enough about OneNote and Teams. I think it's just so super cool and gives you the opportunity to really have the opportunity to honestly do a lot of different things. But I use it a lot for communication, for file upload, for collaboration, and also for kind of having that intersectionality of working with English language learners and decoding. So I just talked a lot, so I'll stop. Holly, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, I just want to say hi, Mom, to your mom.
Yes.
But wow, that was so much great information. I love how when you took us into Teams and showed us all the different aspects in that. And then with the OneNote, it never really took the student or the participant or the learner out of Teams. It's all right there. In Immersive Reader, I mean, you were talking higher ed, and I know you can do it all the way down to
Yes. Yeah.
kindergarten and pre-K. So I'm a very primary teacher, and it's just that Immersive Reader is amazing. So if you haven't checked that out, or Teams or OneNote, either you can watch this recording again on ncce.org, or go on in and check out other courses that we have on our NCCE, a bunch of different courses that we have offered in there too. So we have another live from NCCE coming up next week. But Victoria, we just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and joining us and talking about that amazing pair.
Yes, thank you.
Very great. So you got the so for next week, we have our next our next week, our next live from NCCE is going to be with another great pair, and it is with the amazing Natasha and Felicia, and they're going to be talking about social justice and good trouble using Minecraft and Minecraft. So if you are thinking about Minecraft or want to dabble back, get some ideas about Minecraft, be sure to join us next week at Live from NCCE. But Victoria, thank you so much for joining, and I'll tell you, I picked up a few little Teams and OneNote tricks from you, so thank you.
Yes, of course. I can't talk about it enough. So if anybody has any questions, reach out via NCCE. You can follow me on Twitter at Victoria the Tech, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.